Hi folks, and welcome back to Fishing with Den. So today I'm going to do something I haven't done for quite a long time, and it's probably not something that most people do for carp fishing. And what I'm going to be doing is fishing with some Breadpunch and some liquidized bread. I probably wouldn't do this on venues which hold a lot of big fish, but Den's Pond, which I'm at now, it probably got fish in the sort of anything from 4 ounces up to sort of £3 bracket as the main fish. £5 isn't unusual rather. I've had fish up to £11 out of here, but there's a lot of those smaller fish, so I'm going to just try some liquidized bread and Breadpunch on the hook. Let me show you the tackle. This is the main rig. It's a 0.4 of a gram homemade float with an interchangeable tip. I'm using £6 mainline, and I've got number 8 shots, shirt button style, down the line. Hook is a size 14, because the bait I'm going to be using, although it's going to be relatively small, it's going to swell up because it's bread, and so therefore the 14 seems about right. £6 mainline, £4 hook length, and I've actually plumbed the depth already, and I've set this up. It's about 3 feet deep, and I've set it to fish probably an inch or two off the bottom. The reason being that the bait's going to wind up on the bottom, and I want this just off so so fish can think that it's something that's maybe just risen up a little bit. That's the plan, so let's get out there and give it a go. So this is my liquidized bread, and normally I would have liquidized up part of a normal loaf, but this time I just took a pack of breadcrumbs out of the cupboard and made liquidized bread out of that. Seems to do exactly what I want it to, but only time will tell. What I've also done while I'm at it, because this is a bit of an experimental day, I haven't done this for a long time, I've actually coloured this version of it with turmeric. Also, I've got probably half a dozen slices of bread, which are going to sit in here because it's quite warm today, and if you put the lid down, that just stops this thing from basically drying out. I've got various sizes of Breadpunch, and I'm probably going to use a 7 or an 8 mil today, and I may well use 1 or 2 discs on the hook. And all you do is put that in, punch it out, and then just push, and there you are. That's the bait we're going to be using. Very simple, very straightforward. I'm going to be feeding through a pole pot, and I think what we should do now then is to get some bait on and get out there. So I'm going to start off then with that one 7mm disc. Just put it on the hook. As I said, that will fluff out. Then I'm just going to get a piece of the liquidized bread, very light squeeze, put it into the pot and ship out. Now I'm going to be fishing at 11 meters today. That's as good a place as any. There's no real shelves or anything else on here, so it's just a question of finding a good comfortable spot and fishing there. You can probably see that telegraph pole in the background, using that as a marker. So just gently ship out and put the bait in, hovers on the top for a second and then falls down through, and then that's me sorted out. Now we're no longer in the height of summer, but it's not actually yet winter, so things have slowed down with regard to feeding a little bit, and because this isn't a commercial venue, it's a natural venue, I'm not absolutely sure of how much or how little to feed. So what I'm going to do is try the principle of put some in, see how it goes, and then feed according to how the bites develop. In the summer, obviously, you could feed quite a lot and get away with it. The problem with feeding is, if you put it in and it's too much and you ruin the swim, then you can't take it out again, so you've ruined the swim. At least this way, it might take a slower build up, but I can work out how best to... Oh, I had a bit of a knock there. Well, that was quick, that was the first chuck. And slight drawback with this kind of fishing is that you do tend to lose the bait every time, but that's not a problem. Okay, let's get some more bait on and get back out there. As I said before, just one, push it out, Now I'm not going to feed straight away again, because there's obviously a fair amount of feed down there with just that initial ball, and I really just do want to feed my way in slowly. Okay. In case you're wondering why I'm using this pole rest down in front of me rather than holding the pole properly, it's because, poor soul that I am, I've got arthritis in my thumb and it gives me jip, so this just makes it easier for me to do. No longer in the first throes of youth, so I'll just have to make up for it with little attachments and things which help me to fish more effectively. Had a couple of sort of knocks on the initial feed here, but it's not really going too quickly, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try 2 pieces of bread on the hook this time. And actually, just before I go any further, you see how that's swollen up compared to what it was, and that's what happens underwater. So don't be afraid to put a couple of pieces on the hook. It will swell up, but it's only very soft, remember. So what I'm going to do this time, I'll get 2 pieces. It's actually 2 together because you can do more than one with each punch. Put that on, and I'm going to feed just a little bit more bread through the pot. Now, I am keeping the feed covered up because it's quite warm today and you don't want it to dry out. And I should have actually brought with me a little spray bottle, but unfortunately, being old, I forgot. So if it does dry out too much, I will go back and get something, because it's only just around the corner from my house. But I think we can probably make it work. As you can see, it's sticking out of the pot, so it is sticking together, and only want it to stick together long enough really just to hit the water and maybe go down a little bit. It does sink quite quickly actually. It's surprisingly good how it does that. So there we go, and then just put my bait in on top. Bit of a crosswind at times today, which is a little bit of a nuisance, but it's just something you have to put up with when you're fishing. Let's see how that goes. I've only been fishing for sort of 10 minutes or so. It's plenty of time. Well, that's our first fish on. Again, not one of those huge fish that you expect in some other places, but perfectly reasonable for here. There it is. Oh, that's the first one. And it's about the average size for in here, which is probably, I don't know, a couple of pounds or so, I suppose. There we go, lovely fish. Now I did actually put a pot of bait in with the last cast, when I caught that fish. But as I said before, I'm going to feel my way in. And rather than trying to feed every cast or every fish, I'm just going to take it nice and slow. Like I said right at the start, you can put bait in, but you can't take it out. So if you ruin your swim, ruined your swim. Bites are still a bit slow, so I'm just going to try something different. And this is something you need to bear in mind, guys, is that keep doing something different, because small changes can make big differences. And what I'm going to do this time is just get that shot back to where it should be. I'm going to go back to fishing, so I'm only just fractionally off the bottom. Just back up to there, that's all it is. And go back in. Again, it's experimental day, so not really too sure of how things are going to respond, or indeed to some extent if they're going to respond at all. Having said that, either way, any day out fishing's a better day out than working. Of course, not that I work anymore. Again, I'm not going to feed just this time. I'm going to put the bait out there so it's closer to the bottom, as I said. See how that goes, and then if that doesn't work, I'll think about feeding again, or make a decision based on what I think's actually happening down there. I just spooked a fish. Had a bite, missed it, and literally a second later you could see the swirl on the top, which is where I made it scatter. So if that one scattered, there's a good chance that the other fish that were down there, if any, also scattered. So I'm just going to put a bit more feed in, go back over it. If there's no fish around it at the moment, then I've lost nothing, because I'm feeding into an empty space. Don't think this one's all that big. Oh yeah, it's pretty damn small actually. Still, beautiful. Just nicely lip hooked, barbless hook, and there we are. Ooh! Missed it. Oh, one or two more bites now anyway. Seems that the being just off the bottom and using 2 pieces of punch bread instead of 1 is doing the damage so far. But again, we can chop and change with bigger pieces or smaller pieces. Just keep bringing the changes if you're not catching really well, and that can increase your catch rate. A bit. A bit better this one. Yeah, a little bit bigger. Can't quite get my hands around it maybe. It's only just, so maybe 2.5 pounds that one. And I reckon I've been fishing for probably half an hour now, and this has started to dry up on me, so I'll leave that on one side, put a new piece in. Don't try and use dried up bread, folks, it just doesn't work very well. Still on the 2 pieces of, I think it was 7mm, wasn't it? And things are getting a little bit quicker. Definitely movement there. Maybe I need to come up a little bit more. I'm only just fractionally off the bottom at the moment, so I'm thinking if I come back to that sort of inch or 2 off the bottom, maybe that'll do it better now. There's obviously fish down there because I'm getting little dips and bobs on the float. So I do think I probably will in a second just try going shallower again. Yeah, let's give that a try. I'll come about 2 inches or 3 inches off the bottom there. Not long put some bait out there, so again I'm not going to start putting bait in if I don't need to. although shortly I may just take the plunge and start feeding more or less every cast. See if that induces a higher feed rate, or a higher bite rate rather. Okay. Well, I've had no bites so far at 3 inches off the bottom, but I've had a couple of slight indications where the float's lifted a little bit, so I'm wondering if there's fish milling around but slightly more off the bottom. So I'm going to come up another 3 inches in a minute just to see if that helps me. So there's the mark. Come down another 3 inches from there. That's me at least 6 inches off the bottom then. Ouch. Okay. Put some feed in with it. Well, it does seem that going back to 1 inch off the bottom is the way to go at the moment. Sorry, I was just checking bait there. Looks like I've still got a little bit on, so I'm just going to put it back in and see if I can snaffle a bite. Isn't it funny how I literally can't get anything except at about 1 inch off the bottom? Very often with this liquidized bread, especially if you feed it regularly, the fish do come up in the water. Okay, what I'm going to do is keep bringing the changes, and this time I'm going to try a bigger punch. So I've got a bigger piece of bait on, and we'll see how that goes. I'm surprised it stayed on. It has been chewed down a little bit, but a little bit of bait there. Right, so this time then, change to the, I think it's an 8mm punch, and already you can see the difference in the size of the holes down there, hopefully. Certainly see the difference in the size of the punch that comes out. Okay. I'm going to start feeding a bit more regularly through the pot now as well, see if that helps. Well, it's definitely not a big fish, this one, but I haven't had a bite for a while. I think I'd actually all but overfed it. Oh, now that's a black carp. Isn't that black compared to the normal ones? Wow, look at that. That's lovely. Anyway, as I was saying, I think I might have overfed it, so I've stopped feeding, and that's the first bite since. Okay, let's take this up a few inches. That's going to put me probably an inch and a half or so on the bottom there. Not going to feed anything through the pot just yet. Let's try one thing at a time, otherwise you don't necessarily know what it was that helps you catch if you've done two things or more. Okay, we're good to go. Well, I can tell them on the bottom now because I can actually see a little band of yellow just below the black tip. So obviously the weight of the hook and the bait isn't dragging on it anymore. Definitely know I'm on the bottom. Oh, and a bite. Well, that's not bad. I never expected that. Not so quick anyway. He's either not very big or he's going to wake up in a minute. I suspect it's the first. Oh, another one of those black ones. Don't get many of those in here. Wonder where they're coming from. It's actually not black, it's somewhere in between. Oh. Yeah, it's not really black, it's just a hint of black in the back. Lovely. And again. Well, that seems to have made all the difference, doesn't it? Just going a couple of inches deeper. This is definitely a better fish. They're not going to be huge, of course, but good fun though. Oof! Damn. Oh well, I had it on. Well, I haven't fed any more at all since I went back in at the 2 inches over depth or so stage. Get this to sit right, that's it. And I've had one fish and one that I lost just down in front of me. But either way, those two bites came very quickly, so just goes to show, just changing small amounts of tactics here and there can make all the difference. Right, do you remember at the start I said that I was going to have some turmeric flavoured liquidized bread? Well, this is turmeric, so just spread some on. Give it a quick dabble around, wait for it to soak in a bit, and then we've got turmeric flavoured bread. Or I could just use the ordinary side. Either way, it may or may not work, but it's worth a go. Well, this one's taken off slowly, and it looks like he's going to carry on going at this rate. I'm not fishing all that heavy at the moment, so should be okay as long as he doesn't go tearing off. Actually, on reflection, I don't think he's that big, so it's a bit worrying when they just go shooting off a little bit like that. Definitely seems that fishing on the bottom is making all the difference today. Although when I catch one, they do seem to disappear for a short while, and then I'll catch another one. It's not a hectic day by any means. Oh, he's off out into the middle. Well, that went well, didn't it? Oh, sometimes he wasn't as big as I first thought, but he was a decent fish. Well, it hasn't broken me up or anything, but just pulled out, so is that a bite? Not absolutely sure. think it is. Yeah. It's coming towards me. Well, going round in circles anyway. Can't be a very big one. Oh, tiny. Well, this is going to be one of the smallest fish I've had out here. Look at that. Black again. I've had that before. Still, catching fish, it's all good fun. Well, unfortunately folks, it seems that we've come to a bit of a premature end today. Looks like the battery on my GoPro has decided not to be very pro anymore, and it's definitely decided it's died. Now don't get me wrong, I did charge it up before I came out, but oh well. Anyway, I hope I've proven that we can catch a few fish on the old Breadpunch. It maybe isn't the best method in the world for doing this kind of thing. Usually best maybe for roach and skimmers on the canal or possibly a river, or indeed in the winter on a lake. But anyway, it's been good fun, so I've enjoyed myself, and that's about all we've got for this one then. So hope you enjoyed it. If you did, as always, click the button. If you want to subscribe, you can do that too. And until the next time, bye for now.